Okay, y'all, hey, I'm back with another video, and I'm going to show you quickly what you're going to need for this quick gumbo. So we're going to need some olive oil, just a little bit to coat the bottom of the pan because we're going to fry our sausage. And the sausage that I'm using today, since I really couldn't find any andouille sausage, which is typically what goes into a gumbo, I'm using the Johnsonville New Orleans brand. This is supposed to be an andouille sausage recipe or whatever it says. This is beef, so if you are not a fan of beef, then you have to find something else. But this does have pork in it too, so there's beef and pork blend, no fillers. But this is the sausage that I'm using. I used 4 links, and I cut them on a bias, which is how a bias cut looks when you cut them diagonally. We're going to use a tablespoon of tomato paste. I'm also going to throw in some shrimp shells. Now, you're probably asking why, and that's because anytime you're eating gumbo, it has a lot of flavors in it, a lot of ingredients added to it, and typically a gumbo will have crab legs, have crawfish in there, you're going to have some shrimp in there, you're going to have some chicken and some sausage. But we're going to do it the quick and the affordable way right now because I don't have all of those ingredients, and you know, I'm just going to use what I have in my house. So I'm using some shrimp shells to give it that seafood like flavor. Now you do see some shrimp over here, and these are shrimp that I already had in my freezer, and I actually needed to use these. These are cooked shrimp, which I don't prefer to use. However, I need to get rid of these, so I'm going to add these to the very end of my gumbo. And they're already cooked, so that they don't need to be cooked or anything like that. You can actually eat them just like this. So that's the reason why we're going to add them at the very end when the gumbo is done. Then I use 1 garlic that I've chopped up roughly. And then for the flavor that you're going to need for this gumbo, you're going to need all of those flavors going on. Anytime you eat gumbo, it has a lot of flavors, a lot of spice. So I'm going to use some Creole seasoning, which has all the flavors that you're going to need. And I'm going to use a teaspoon of this right now. We're going to start off with only a teaspoon because trust me when I say your gumbo is going to be flavorful. And you don't want to get it too salty. You don't want your gumbo to be too salty because then you can't do anything after that. So that's the reason why I'm only adding 1 teaspoon of this for right now. And then to save us time, instead of having to get an onion and peppers and all of that and chop them up, we're going to use some store-bought frozen mixed peppers. So these have some red, some yellow, some green, and they have some onions in there. I used 1 cup of these and I chopped them up because they were in the bag. I'm going to show you the bag that I use. I actually bought this from Save-A-Lot, and they are the stir-fry version, which is why they're cut very long. But I just took that and I chopped them up so they can be small. Cause you don't, anytime I eat a gumbo, my peppers and my onions aren't really that big. They're really small and diced up. So that's all you're going to need. And oh, I forgot one more thing. Chicken stock. Chicken stock back here, which you can't see, but you're going to see eventually. You're going to use 3 cups of that. If you want to dilute the recipe a little bit so that it won't be as flavorful, or if you're trying to watch your sodium intake, you can definitely use 1 cup of chicken stock and the rest water. However, I use low sodium chicken stock, so there you have it. I use 3 cups of that. Alright you guys, let's get into making this gumbo. Okay. Hey you guys, I'm back. Let's get into it. So we got the pot right here. I already put in my olive oil. I only used 2 tablespoons if you want to be exact. 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there, just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. And next we're going to throw in that andouille sausage and let it start browning. I love sausage, and I especially love it when you get it nice and crispy on the outside. You get that little char. I love it. Oh my god, so good. And also, just want to let you know, if you don't already know, this is my rice one-pot wonder dish. I have 2 dishes that I'm making, and the second one that I'm making will be coming up in the next video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And if you don't know, you should probably subscribe, so that way you can already be notified when I post my next video. And it's going to be in this lovely pot right here, so you do not want to miss that because it is a yummy, yummy dish. Yummy, yummy, yummy dish. Alright, so now we're just gonna, like I said, brown these up. I want to get a nice little char. As you can see, it's already starting to brown right there. I'm gonna get close up on it so you can see what it looks like when it's starting to brown. I don't want it to burn, so make sure you know the difference between browning and burning. I just want that nice, you know, little crust right there. If you can see it, come on. All right. There you go. Right there. That nice brown right there, that's what you want. So I'm just moving the pan with my wooden spoon and making sure that the sausage is not burned. If your sausage starts burning, turn it off, turn your eye off, or make sure you move your pan to an eye that's not on, because you don't want to burn your sausage. I have an electric oven, electric stove. So my heat gets very high, very hot, very quickly. So I'm just letting that do its thing. And then we're going to come back. After I get a nice brown to my liking, we're going to come back and we're going to throw in some more ingredients. Alright you guys, I'm back. So as you can see, my sausage is browning. You're also going to get some nice brown on the bottom of that pan, which is good. So that's where all the flavor is at. And we're going to scrape that up too when we start to put in our liquid. So now we're going to throw in our vegetables. We're going to throw in our shrimp shells. If you don't have shrimp shells, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't have, and I know y'all probably think like, man, you really do cook because you save shrimp shells. Yes, you definitely want to save these. Anytime you buy or you use raw shrimp, save these because you can actually use these to make a stock if that's what you want to do. So I'm going to throw the shrimp shells in there, all of them in there. I'm going to let those start to cook. We're then going to throw in our garlic. Remember, it's 1 clove, rough chopped. I'm also going to throw in our peppers, that mixed pepper. Remember that? Threw in that, and that's about 1 cup of that. Yeah, look at all of that. And just from the liquid, from the peppers, it's already starting to pull up them brown bits at the bottom of the pan. And in my previous video, I like to call those love bits, I'm sorry. Those are some really good flavors. So anytime you see some browning on the bottom of the pan, anytime you like fry foods, or anytime you try to brown meats, that's extra flavor that you can use in your dish. So do not let that go to waste. And you can get that just by putting a little bit of liquid at the bottom of the pan and scraping that up, because that's going to give your dish added flavor. So I'm just going to let those go for just a little bit longer. And then once I let that go for a little bit longer, we're going to say 5 minutes. I'm then going to pull out my shrimp shells because I don't want to eat those. Pull those out, and then we're going to add in the rest of the ingredients, which is going to be the tomato paste, the Creole seasoning, and then the stock. So let's let that go for 5 minutes and we'll be back. Okay you guys, so I'm back. As you can see, all the goodness going on there. You got your peppers, you got your shrimp shells, you got some sausage in there, we got some garlic in there, and I just let that brown a little bit more, 5 minutes. Now it's time to take out the shrimp shells. So if you're using shrimp shells, start taking those out, because the rest of the ingredients that we add in here is going to stay, and we do not want to bite into a shrimp shell and choke on those. So we're going to take these out of our stuff. Make sure you get every bite out. And then after I take these out, we're going to come back and I'm going to show you how to put the rest in. Now I'm back. So now that we got all the shrimp shells out, we're going to add that tomato paste. We're going to add that Creole seasoning. And mix that all together. Make sure all of the ingredients are coated with that seasoning and tomato paste. Now remember, I started off with only using 1 teaspoon of the Creole seasoning, And that is because that Creole seasoning has a lot of flavor, and it has all of the sodium that you're going to need. So we're going to start off with only adding 1 teaspoon just so that we make sure our gumbo is not over salted. I'd rather something be under salted or, you know, under flavored than over, because if it's over, it's a little bit hard. It's harder to control that versus if it's under flavored or under salted. I'm sorry. So now that we got all of that coated, now add the chicken stock. Swirl that around. Make sure you get all of the flavor off the bottom of the pan into the broth. Oops. Sorry. Thing almost fell. Alright, there we go. Sorry. Alright, so now we got that going. And we're going to let this come up to a simmer. Once it comes up to a simmer, we're going to taste it, see where the flavor is at. If it needs more of the Creole seasoning, we're going to add a little bit more. If it doesn't, then we're good to go. So pretty much this is the end result of your gumbo. Now all you need to do is let it simmer over a small heat for about 30 minutes and you're done. Alright you guys, I'm back. So here is the finishing product of our gumbo. It's a little bit more thin as far as the base goes than you would usually get in a gumbo. Usually when I buy gumbo or I get it from a store, from a restaurant, the base is thicker. However, this is more like a soup, which is why it's not
so I lied. I'm actually going to make a roux to thicken up the gumbo. To me, it's too watery. It's gonna be like more of like a soup gumbo if I leave it that way. And to me, I don't want to eat it that way. I want it to be a little bit thick and have some body to it. So I'm gonna make a quick roux with just some butter and flour. It's all you need. I have 3 tablespoons of butter, and to that I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of flour. And I'm going to whisk vigorously. You're gonna see it start to get thick on you, and that's exactly what you want. I'm just gonna basically what a roux is flour and butter, or a fat and flour. It helps thicken up most soups, most stocks, or anything that you need to, anything that's a savory dish that you need thickened up. This will help with that. So I'm just gonna cook this enough to cook out the flour so that you won't get that flour taste when I put this into the stock. And as you can see, is that yellow color. I'm gonna cook it a little bit more though. I want it to make sure all the flour tastes out of it. And we're gonna come back.
Alright y'all, I'm back, and as you can see, the roux has thickened up a little bit. It looks weird, doesn't it? This is what I want my roux to be. I don't want it to be thicker than this. I mean, you can definitely make it thicker than this. I've seen roux that's darker. There's different levels to roux as well, but that's for another video. So I just wanted it to cook enough so I can cook the flour out of it. And now that it has cooked out, we're going to add a little bit of this to my stock. To the gumbo, a little bit at a time. I don't want to add it all in there because then it'll be just like a paste instead of an actual thickened gumbo. So let's go ahead and add that. Alright, so as you can see, it has thickened up, and I'm going to show you by using a plastic spoon and show you now it has thickened up. It doesn't entirely coat the spoon, but the soup does hold on to it a little longer than it did when I first made it. So that's the consistency that you want. And altogether, I used 3 tablespoons. I didn't record me putting in the last tablespoon of the roux, just because I mean it would make that video even more longer than this video has to be. So that's the thickness that I wanted it. I don't want it to be too thick like a paste or like I don't know, but this is the thick consistency that I wanted it to be. I want it to have body, and it has body, and that's what I want. So that's it. We're gonna throw in some of those shrimps that were already cooked. the shrimp I showed you guys. I'm going to throw this in at the end, which is when my gumbo is done. So anytime you buy shrimp that's cooked, you do not want to cook it because it's already cooked. If you cook it, it's going to get rubbery and hard on you. It's going to taste super nasty. So if you're going to add this to any type of cooked dish, add it to the very end when your heat is off, when your stuff is done. I typically don't like to work or use cooked shrimp unless I'm using it for like a shrimp cocktail where I can just put it on a plate and dip it in cocktail sauce. But this is what I had on hand, so this is what I'm going to use. And that is our quick, fast, easy, tasty gumbo. Thank you all. Well, I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait a second. Wait a second. I have to plate this, and then we'll get to the end. Alright, as you can see, I already got my setup. Got my little Topo Chico mineral water. I'm sorry. I love this stuff. I find this at my local Save-A-Lot, and I love this mineral soda water. I got my Cholula hot sauce. Love that hot sauce on the side. You know, you always gotta have hot sauce when it comes to eating a gumbo. At least for me, I do. Anytime I'm eating gumbo, there's always hot sauce nearby. So I'm gonna throw in my gumbo first. Ooh, look at that texture. Look at that color, you guys. Don't forget, we use some of that Johnsonville New Orleans style sausage. I had some already cooked mixed vegetables, which I got in the freezer section, which contained red pepper, green pepper, yellow pepper, and some onions, which made this for an easy, quick process. Then we threw in some chicken stock, some tomato paste. You got some Creole seasoning that you added. Only 1 teaspoon, remember that. You don't need a lot. And you just let this bad boy simmer over the stove, and boom, you got yourself instant gumbo. Affordable, tasty, and quicker if you were to make the real thing. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't, why haven't you hit that button already? Go ahead and hit that right now. Thank you so much. Love you all. Love and good eats. See you on the next one.